Evening at the Healer House. The sun sets, painting the room in shades of orange. Bingo rummages through an old closet and finds a worn-out fairy tale book, dusty with yellowed pages and strange stains. The cover has darkened with faded letters. Eternal Tales. Bluey, look, this is a magical book with stories about friends from distant worlds, exclaims Bingo, her eyes sparkling. Bluey hesitates, feeling a chill, but agrees. Let's read it. Maybe we can play games based on these tales. But no monsters. They settle on the carpet, open the book, and the words seem alive, as if whispering. First comes Peter Pan. Instead of the cheerful boy from the pages, a dark shadow bursts out with a hook instead of a hand, its silhouette trembling on the wall. Never grow up means forever trapped. It hisses, echoing. The room darkens, the air grows cold, shadows reaching like hooks grabbing their paws. Bluey feels herself sinking into the night of Neverland, where ghostly children call, "Join us, Bluey, fly into nowhere." Bingo shivers. This isn't fun, let's close it. The pages turn by themselves like dry leaves to Alice in Wonderland. The Cheshire Cat appears, mouth dripping with poison, its body dissolving, leaving only a grin. "Welcome to madness," it purrs. Furniture spins, mirrors reflect distorted sisters, their heads growing and shrinking. Bingo tries to close the book, but the pages stick to her paws, whispering, "Fall down the rabbit hole forever." Bluey feels dizzy. Hold on, Bingo, it's not real, or is it? With a snap, pages open to Snow White. The mirror comes alive, showing the queen with a cracked face and black eyes. "Eat the apple and sleep forever," it hisses, the air smelling of decay. Apples roll on the floor, turning into spiders with stingers. The sisters scream as the room turns into a forest of bones, heroes surrounding them. Peter with a hook, Alice with a grin, Snow White with an apple chanting, "Stay in the book, become part of us. Fairy tales don't let go." Pages flutter, pulling them into a whirl. The door bursts open, Bandit and Chili rush in at the screams. "What's happening, girls, are you okay?" Bandit shouts, slamming the book shut. The illusion breaks. Shadows vanish, furniture freezes, apples turn to dust. The sisters embrace their parents, tears streaming. "The book, it's alive," sobs Bingo. The book lies still with a new faded inscription. Fairy tales never end, they wait. The screen fades to the whisper of pages. The song you shouldn't sing. Bluey and Bingo were outside, playing under the fading light of early evening. Bluey was humming, a strange little tune. Simple, repetitive, but unsettling in a way that was hard to name. Bingo tilted her head. "Where did you hear that?" Bluey just shrugged. "I didn't. It was already in my head." They went back to playing, but Bluey kept humming. The tune looped again and again. Later that evening at the dinner table, Bluey hummed it quietly while eating. At first, Chili smiled. Bandit tapped his paw in rhythm, but slowly something changed. The room fell quieter. Their chewing slowed. The smiles faded. Bandit's eyes drifted, unfocused, as if listening to something far away. Chili's head tilted slightly to one side. She began humming it too, off-key, slower. Bingo joined in, without realizing. Bluey stopped. She looked around. Everyone was humming, different paces, different tones, but the same tune. That night, Bluey lay awake. The house was too quiet. She turned to Bingo, who lay still with her eyes wide open, humming, softly, rocking her head from side to side. Bluey sat up. The hallway was dark, but the sound of the song came from every room. She crept into the living room. Chili sat on the couch, not moving, mouth open slightly, whispering the melody without breath, like it was being pulled from her. Bandit stood in the kitchen, tapping on the wall. Not knocking, just tapping. In a strange pattern, like code, like counting. Bluey tried to speak, to call out, but no sound came out of her mouth. She backed away. The song grew louder. From nowhere, from inside, it filled her chest, her head. She ran back to the bedroom, covering her ears, but it was still there, clearer now. She squeezed her eyes shut, tried to hum something else, anything, a birthday song, a lullaby. But every time her mouth fell back into that same tune. Her paws tapped the rhythm against the blanket. Her heart followed. It wouldn't stop. She begged it to stop. But the melody played on. The next morning, the family sat at the breakfast table. No one ate. No one moved. Just 4 sets of lips moving slowly, silently, perfectly in time. Bluey blinked. She wanted to cry, but the tears stayed frozen, as if the song didn't allow it. In the final scene, Bluey stood alone in the living room. Her reflection in the dark TV screen stared back, but didn't match her. The reflection was still humming even after Bluey stopped, even after she turned away. Outside, the wind carried the tune, through the trees, across the yard, and into other homes. The camera pulled back, higher and higher. The whole neighborhood looked frozen, still, silent. But the melody kept going, software twisted, playing forever. No credits, no voices. Only the song, always the song. A bright sunny day at the Healer house, and Bluey and Bingo decide to have a treasure hunt in the old closet. They rummage through boxes of forgotten things, giggling over dusty relics. Bluey stumbles upon a strange item, an ancient hourglass carved with images of shadows and eyes, and the sand inside sparkles golden as if alive. "Look, Bingo, it's a magical hourglass!" exclaims Bluey, turning it over. "Let's play time travelers." The sand begins to flow, but instead of a usual stream, it sparkles, and the air in the closet grows heavy, the lamp flickering dramatically, casting long shadows on the walls. The sisters carry the hourglass to the room and the game begins. They imagine turning back time, returning to past adventures. But at the first turn, reality distorts, the room darkens, though daylight still shines outside, and they find themselves in an alternate version of their home. In this reality, fears from the past come alive. Shadows on the walls form figures of long-forgotten monsters from dreams, and their parents Bandit and Chili look pale, whispering, "You shouldn't have touched that." Bingo feels a chill as the sand in the hourglass turns black, and time loops. One moment they are at a picnic in the past where food comes alive and crawls, the next in the future where the house collapses under dramatic red lighting. As the game continues, the nightmare grows. Each turn of the hourglass plunges the family deeper into alternate realities where fears materialize. Bluey sees her favorite toys turn into glowing-eyed predators, while Bingo faces shadow versions of herself, whispering secrets and blaming mistakes. "This isn't a game," Bluey murmurs, but the sand doesn't stop. Time accelerates and the house fills with suspense. Lamps flash, shadows stretch like hands, and a voice echoes from the hourglass. "Your fears are your past and your future." The parents try to intervene, but caught in the time loop they forget who they are, becoming part of the illusion. Tension peaks as the hourglass turns itself, and the family finds themselves in a dark reality where all their fears, loss, loneliness, darkness, come alive under dramatic lighting with shadows dancing like in a theater. "Take us back!" shouts Bingo, but the sand spills faster. At the last moment, Bluey shatters the hourglass. Sand scatters, light returns, and reality stabilizes. The ominous finale. Shards of the hourglass lie on the floor, but one grain still moves, whispering, "Time is not forgotten, it will return." The screen fades to the sound of dripping sand, leaving an echo of ticking clocks. The series begins as a regular episode. Bluey is at home with Chili, Bandit, and Bingo. But the atmosphere immediately seems a bit strange. It's an overcast day, the house is dark, and no one wants to play. Chili is cleaning the kitchen, Bandit is reading the newspaper, and Bingo is just lying on the couch and being quiet. She looks tired, almost unresponsive. Bluey walks around the house trying to think of something to do. She wanders into the pantry and there's something strange catches her attention. A low wooden door in the wall. It looks very old, like it's 100 years old. Bluey is sure that this door wasn't there before. Curiosity takes over, so she pushes the boxes aside, turns the rusty key sticking out of the lock, and opens the door. Inside is a narrow dark hallway with a bluish light at the end. Without much thought, Bluey crawls inside. On the other side is the exact same house, only brighter, cleaner, more colorful. Chili, Bandit, and Bingo meet her there, only with one creepy difference. They all have black buttons for eyes. They smile, they act affectionate. Chili immediately suggests Bluey play her favorite game. The Bandit dances like an episode of disco and Bingo laughs louder than usual. Bluey is excited at first. Everything looks like the perfect version of her life. But pretty quickly she notices oddities. First of all, everything in the world is adjusting to her. As soon as she thinks of something, it appears. Second, Bingo is acting a little unnatural. Her smile is too strained. She keeps repeating the same phrase. "It's better. Much better." Later, the other Chili tells Bluey that she can stay here forever, but to do that she needs to, quote, become part of the family, which means sewing buttons on herself instead of eyes. Bluey is horrified. She realizes this isn't her real family. It's not Chili's, it's not Bandit, and it's not Bingo. She tries to escape but finds only long hallways leading nowhere. The house starts to change. The walls move. The floor becomes viscous. The other bandit doesn't smile now. His body stretches out. His movements become abrupt, unnatural. He speaks in a distorted voice and begins to chase Bluey. Bluey screams, calling for the real Chili, but no one answers. In one of the rooms, she finds Bingo tied up with string. Her eyes are half-sewn buttons. She whispers, "It's not me. Go away, please." Her strength is almost at an end, but Bluey finds a passage back. The same door is still open. She runs towards it, but the other Chili grabs her paw. She's still smiling, but her face starts to blur. "You're not leaving. We're family now forever." Bluey lashes out at the last moment and slips through the door. Bluey wakes up in his bed. The clock reads 3:33. The house looks normal. Everything is in its place. Chili is calling her to breakfast. Bandit is yawning in a chair and Bingo is playing in the living room. Bluey seems to be calming down, but when she jumps off the bed and puts her paw on the floor, she steps on a black button. The series ends abruptly. No credits, just a black screen, and a quiet whisper barely audible in the background noise. "Are you still here?" It was a typical rainy day at the Healer house. The rain drummed against the roof, keeping Bluey and Bingo from playing outside. Bingo sat drawing in her room while a bored Bluey wandered through the house. Suddenly, she stopped in the middle of the living room. From beneath the old wooden floorboards covered by a rug came a faint scratching sound. Bluey knelt down and listened closely. The sound came again, this time with a soft tapping, as if someone was gently scratching the wood from inside. "Hello," Bluey whispered. In response, a barely audible but distinct whisper echoed back, seemingly from the very depths of the house. The words were unintelligible, but the tone was soft and comforting. Bluey smiled. She had a new friend. She began spending more and more time on the floor, pressing her ear to the boards. Her parents noticed. "What are you playing, Bluey?" Chili would ask, seeing her daughter whisper to an unseen companion. "I'm playing with my friend under the floor," Bluey would happily reply. Bandit and Chili exchanged glances but chalked it up to childish imagination, glad that Bluey had found something to occupy herself. As the days passed, Bluey's behavior grew stranger. She stopped paying attention to Bingo, ignored calls for dinner, at times even refusing her favorite games. Her entire world narrowed to her conversations with the friend under the floor. She'd whisper secrets to it, laugh at its very funny jokes, as she called them, even though Bandit and Chili heard nothing. At night, Chili began hearing strange sounds. Quiet, persistent rustles, creaks, and taps coming from beneath the floor of the children's room. Sometimes she thought she could faintly hear a dry, hushed chuckle that chilled her to the bone. She mentioned it to Bandit, but he assured her it was just an old house or her own tiredness. One day, Bandit found Bluey trying to pull up the edge of the rug in the living room. Her little paws frantically clawed at the edges. "What are you doing, sweetie?" he asked. Bluey turned around. Her eyes, usually full of mischievous sparkle, were cloudy and vacant. "My friend wants to come out and play," she whispered, her smile strangely forced. A chill ran down Bandit's spine. He led Bluey away from the rug. Later that night, when everyone was asleep, Bandit quietly went to the spot where Bluey had spent so much time. He carefully lifted a corner of the rug. Beneath it were old, darkened floorboards, nothing out of the ordinary. But as he leaned closer, he felt an icy draft, smelling of dampness and something putrid. And then he heard it. A quiet, raspy whisper coming from somewhere beneath the house. It wasn't Bluey's voice and it wasn't comforting. It was filled with malice and hunger. Bandit immediately dropped the rug, his heart pounding. The next morning, Bluey was quiet, almost silent. She wasn't running or jumping. She just sat on the floor, her ear pressed to the boards, humming a faint, unfamiliar tune. When Chili called her for breakfast, Bluey didn't stir. Bandit approached to pick her up, but when he touched her shoulder, Bluey jolted sharply and looked back. Her eyes were completely black, devoid of pupils, and they reflected a grotesque, predatory grin that twisted her snout. "He's very hungry," a voice rasped, utterly unlike Bluey's. Chili screamed. The camera slowly pulls away from Bluey, lying on the floor as she continues to hum monotonously. From beneath the floor, a louder wet scratching grows, punctuated by slurping sounds that echo throughout the healer house. The sounds grow in intensity, then abruptly cease.